Redemption for the fallen Massalian heroes had finally been delivered. The Illegites were no more. Hannibal Barca, the Carthaginian commander, had disappeared as well. Hispania Cytherea finally served the Greek colonies as Zeus intended. However, the treacherous Emporians still possessed some of the land, yet nothing could be done. They are allied with the Romans just like Massalia, for now. Once the lions of Transalpine Gaul could equal the power of the Italian eagle, they shall crumble into dust and bones. We will find a way. As the desired foundations for the future empire finally was under Massalian control, Senator Cato urged for a year of peace. Keep the armies within our own humble borders, let them regain their strength and allow us to build a new fleet. One much stronger than the last one. There was just this one problem. Carthage had a massive armada sailing around the sea, waiting for a vulnerable target, like a mustering fleet. Initially, the council debated whether to increase their strength by subjugating the tribes of Iberia, but after seeing this, there was no doubt. Most notably of the senators voting in favor of a war with Carthage were Sohan and Sumari. The year at peace, like Cato proposed, will be used to prepare for the imminent war. The new fleet was literally built for naval warfare. Archers and fireport ships to burn down their enemies, massive assault vessels to transport elite marines for ramming or boarding if needed. And it was completed just in time. Sitting outside the port of Massalia, the Carthaginian admiral Hasdrubal attacked with a fleet of Balearic slingers. His fame might be known all over the Mediterranean, but his navy was nothing compared to the Massalians. Projectiles were flying everywhere, but the speed of our galleys were uncanny. Breaking the enemy on impact, we crushed their lines in the center, allowing our ships to circle around and hit the enemy from behind. We fought united, whereas they did not. Their flaming ships never stood a chance. With one half of the armada ruined, without taking basically any casualties, it was time to finish the job. Using the fog blessed by the gods to cloud our approach, the Carthaginians never saw us coming. Now we dominate the sea, for real this time. Carthaginians were immersed into the water, which they were drawn to like alcoholics. Immersoholics, as you might say, getting crushed at sea. Oh wait, I'm mixing the stories up, my bad. With sovereignty over the seas, they needed to make sure it stayed like that. Seize their ports, use them for our own, and prepare for the inevitable conflict with Rome. Eumenes marched south towards enemy territory alongside a newly mustered army from Transalpine, filled with Gauls and levies. Not much, but as they showed at the Battle of Saguntum, they could get the job done. Although I doubt they valued the lives of the soldiers more than a victory. Oh well, that is why the Massalians brought those barbarians this far south. Now the main problem was to figure out a way to capture the walled settlement of Carthago Nova. In the past it wouldn't have been a problem with the Ballistae from Massalia, but as they got destroyed by the vicious Iberians, we needed to find another way. A new fleet specialized in town assaults began its construction. With the ballistae on our ships, they should be safe to fire at will. Of course, that wasn't enough for the Massalians. Ilici, a settlement just north of Carthago Nova, possessed a first-class workshop for siege equipment. Taking it would make a future attack easy. We also spotted a new hostile fleet under construction at Ibosim. The Balearic island was outside of the reach of Eumenes, but not from our navy. They blockaded the town, waiting for the siege regiment to join in for a concentrated attack. After the occupation of Ilici, the Massalian general Eumenes also learned of two major armies protecting their prized settlement. Fearing a potential counterattack, a spy, which has been scouting the tribes of Iberia for potential allies, successfully sabotaged their supplies. Given this limited time, the Greek army hoped to complete the construction of a new ballista before an attack, but it wasn't finished in time. Mago Barca had arrived with a major host of elephants, sacred band, and Iberian mercenaries. Yet he still had to pass the streets filled with traps and guarded with heavy hoplites. They practically stormed the streets with useless bodies, just waiting for being the next to make a suicidal charge into our lines. Unknowingly, they had all fallen for our scheme. Blobbed up inside the streets, it was time to close their way out and charge. The decisive defense gave the Massalians all the time in the world to prepare for an attack. The fleet had finished the Battle of Ibosim as well, meaning they could initiate the blockade of Carthago Nova. I know for a fact Eumenes debated whether to attack or not, but decided to return into controlled territory, waiting for the second Massalian army. But as one of the defending armies had fled during the last month, he changed his mind and laid siege to the city. They did sally out, giving the Greeks a hard time, yet not enough to stop the occupation which occurred afterwards. Hispania Ulteria finally joined our ranks as well. Knowing we needed to use our momentum before the Carthaginians could regroup, our strike fleet sailed to Iole, while a few ships stayed behind to prepare transport for an invasion of the African coastline. We will come back to that later, cause the events in Iberia isn't quite over just yet. For a while now, the Council of Massalia have monitored the situation between the tribes of Iberia. We were trading with all of them, but never chose a side. Till we began our war with Carthage, that is. To ensure the safety of our core regions, we made non-aggression pacts with the Arrivaci and Cantabri tribes to the north. Mostly because they were our neighbors, but also because they seemed relatively competent compared to all the other barbarians. But as time flew on, the balance of power seemed to change. The Lusitani, a warlike tribe to the western edges, had expanded its borders a lot and intended to do it even more. They were fighting the Estruries and, more importantly, the Vacaei. If they could win these wars, they would become the dominant power of Iberia and eventually challenge us. Not wanting this to happen, we made an agreement to break our trade deal in exchange for gold. We were now on the good side of all the tribes of Iberia. Fast forward to our current date, while the Lusitani were on the brink of war with the Arrivaci. A massive problem, as the Massalians had just signed a military access pact to walk through their lands. You see, it was needed for Eumenes to reach the Carthaginian settlement of Gadir. but that isn't important. However, the fact that an all-out Iberian war broke out after this was. It was basically the Lusitani against the Asturias, Cantabria and Arevaci. It was clear to every man and their mother who would win this war. Where the Massalians had in secret supported both sides, it was time to choose. We traveled to the Arevaci, asked for a defensive alliance while offering to break all our ties with the Lusitani. This alliance will surely become handy for our inevitable war with Rome. A perfect scheme that made us pacify Iberia without wasting further Massalian blood. We captured Gadir, officially kicking out the Carthaginians of Iberia and securing the safety of that peninsula. With that, let's focus on our invasion of Numidia. Our Celto-Hellenic forces stood ready at Carthago Nova to board their transports. The journey required so many supplies it emptied the reserves of the entire province. To be fair, the travels did take 3 months. As the army arrived, the town was basically empty. They had spent all their forces on trying to break our blockade without success. But as the Greek army set foot on solid soil again, they were instantly fighting the harsh summer climate unusual to Massalians from Transalpine Gaul. They returned to their ships seeking refuge there. At the same time, it came to their attention the Romans were on an all-out assault on the Carthaginian heartlands, already taking one port away from them. Knowing we had to be swift before the big-headed Romans gobbled up all of the lands for themselves, we decided to sail along the coast. This way, we wouldn't disturb the skilled Numidian horsemen. They are terrifyingly dangerous. We landed at Uban, occupied the town, and stayed there. During winter, the climate was a lot more comfortable. Apparently, this move seemed to gain the attention of the defending forces of Carthage, with them rushing towards us even though the Romans besieged their prized capital. Massalia, the military ally, also declared war on Massalia, meaning we could potentially face an attack from 2 ways. But as Carthage fell the following month along with Gadir, as I've mentioned, the only settlement remaining now was Tingis. Understanding their circumstances, I offered a peace treaty, which they rightfully accepted.
I am in truth uneasy, but the good of my people requires me to put aside such feelings.
Now, we could give all of our attention to the split Numidian faction. We laid siege to Shitsa for them to sally out and get defeated. We could now peacefully occupy the city without any major difficulties. Their last settlement, called Capsa, was a long march away, but nothing that would discourage us from going down there to take it. After this final victory, the council approved a request to field more armies and agents. At the perfect time as well. With the Great Republic spread out along several kilometers of coastline, it now had the strength to dominate the Mediterranean.